Joining us now on the line is Ann Coulter. She is the author of many New York Times bestsellers, including the most recent one, In Trump We Trust. Merry Christmas, Ann.
Merry Christmas, Howie Carr.
Listen, have you read this Politico story about how the Obama administration put the kibosh on a major investigation and a major crackdown on Hezbollah bringing drugs into the U.S. to
I saw the headline.
It's very long and it's very dense, but it's worth reading, or at least worth reading some kind of excerpt. I don't think you're going to see it on the NBC Nightly News tonight. Just a hunch.
No, it's funny as a dedicated hate watcher. As you know, I'm normally watching MSNBC and CNN, and then I'll switch over to Fox News. And for the last 5-10 years, certainly 5 years, it's like they're reporting in different countries, completely different stories. It is like you are in two different countries. I think it was Thursday night, I got in from getting my Christmas tree, and finally all the cables had come together in joy and harmony and unity. They all hate Omarosa. Did you notice that? I've never seen them all reporting basically the same story and with the same angle.
Well, you would think, though, that the big story here would be the fact that the FBI seemed to be trying to collude with the Clinton campaign to rig the 2016 election. I mean, something that J. Edgar Hoover never dreamed of doing in his most fevered moments. You know? Right.
It's also hilarious to see the left go from loving the Soviet Union of the Gulag archipelago and shooting down American planes, stirring up trouble abroad, threatening us with nuclear annihilation. They were the show trials. They were totally down with that. But now that Reagan won the Cold War and Russia is, just another country, maybe a little more corrupt than others. Right. Suddenly, the left has decided it's the evil empire, and, the other side of the coin is the FBI. Oh, they hated the FBI back when it was doing its job, doing a fantastic job exposing them, and communist members of the FDR administration, for example. Now that they're just social justice warriors working on behalf of one political party, suddenly the left reveres the FBI.
Yes, they're the thin blue line, Ann, as they used to say, right?
No, it's hilarious. Also, please note, as per that magnificent book of mine, Godless, and the concept of human shields, how the left can't make an argument without throwing out some victim. They can't defend the FBI, the CIA, any of these groups. Immediately they go to, these people risk their lives. People have died. Nobody's risking his life spying on the Trump campaign and conspiring to try to throw him out of office.
Well, they think judging from those texts, though, they thought they were on the front lines. Strzok and his girlfriend there, talking about, this is, God put you here. They didn't say God, but they said you were put here to save. Yeah, Gaia put you here to save our republic. For Hillary Clinton, so we can reinstate Fast and Furious and play footsie with Hezbollah to keep the drugs coming into the country. This is what you were put on earth for.
The Strzok emails are really amazing. I mean, I have to break from my hate watching of MSNBC and CNN because they don't mention it except to describe, sort of vaguely with no details, a general, and the right wing is attacking the FBI. Those Strzok emails are shocking. It's really shocking that he and by the way, not girlfriend. I was about to say girlfriend. It's not his girlfriend. It's his mistress. He was married. No, they're cleaning this whole thing up. I realize that isn't the political component to this, but why are we protecting this guy? He's a sleazebag, and although the political import of the you're where you are as an insurance policy, just in case Trump gets elected. We'll still, obviously, the import being that we'd still be able to take him out with some phony Russia investigation. But if you leave that aside, my favorite texts are actually are the desperate ones of this loser trying to get laid, and telling his mistress, "Congratulations on the nomination of the first female candidate for president. It's about damn time." Oh my gosh, you are so pathetic.
Yeah, you know what I think, Ian? There's 10,000 of these things, and we've only seen a sample, as they say, 375. I want to see every damn last one of them, don't you?
Oh, so do I.
And I love the way it's portrayed, as you keep saying that we're in two different worlds as far as the media is concerned. And the only way this is played for the New York Times and CNN is all this Republicans pounce on text. That's the only. I mean, there's nothing about what's in the text. Like they've got this plan to overthrow the election if Donald Trump wins. It's Republicans pounce on proof that the FBI was planning to overthrow the results or overturn the results of the election. Yes.
Here's an Ann Coulter rule for you. Whenever you don't get the details don't help them. When you're getting details, the details help them and the general point doesn't. But be very suspicious when you're not getting details. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, and this is the case with the Politico story here about Hezbollah. Here, let me just read you one part of this, Ian. And again, this is just one little tiny part of the story. Ali Fayed, a Lebanese arms dealer and suspected top Hezbollah operative whom agents believed reported directly to Russian President Vladimir Putin. He was arrested by the Czechs in 2014 and he was indicted in the U.S. for planning the murders of U.S. government employees. But the Obama administration did nothing to push for extradition. Instead, he was sent back to Lebanon, where he's back up to his terrorists. And again, this is a guy who's in cahoots with Vladimir Putin, and we had indicted him. We didn't extradite him because it might have screwed up the deal with the Iranians, and it might have impacted adversely the reset button with Vladimir Putin. So who was really colluding with the Russians here? Was it Donald Trump, or was it Obama and Clinton?
And Hillary.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Hillary had that famous silly reset button where they spelled reset wrong in Russian, and it meant something like penis instead or something ridiculous. So the poor Russian ambassador didn't really know what to say when she produced a phony reset button to show, that mean Bush administration was so terrible to Putin. It really, it makes your head spin which side they're on with Russia. Are we trying to reset and we love them and Bush was mean to them? Do we love them because we don't mind Stalin's show trials, or are we using it as an excuse for why the beloved Hillary lost the election, and we hate it?
And did you watch the testimony of this number 2 guy in the Justice Department last week, Rosenstein?
I saw crucial excerpts of it, and I would say that there are a lot of hiring problems throughout the Trump administration.
He might as well be Loretta Lynch or Eric Holder, the way he was stonewalling.
I know, but the thing you have to remember about this guy, he was, he has impressive credentials. He was, and conservative credentials. He was president of the Federalist Society at Harvard, but there really is such a thing as the swamp, and so far, as far as I can tell, all of the lawyers the Trump administration has hired have moved from one position in the federal government to another, or they were lawyers for the RNC, and now they're working in the Trump White House. Okay, for people who work in Washington for a living, I'm not necessarily saying they're all bad people, but they're going to be in Washington forever. They will be working with these bureaucrats forever. Trump is going to be there for, at most another 7 years, and then he's out of town. That's the problem with just moving lawyers over from one department to another.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of good lawyers out there in America. Trump ought to look at them.
Well, I mean, they're getting slammed though in these judicial hearings, and the American Bar Association says they're not qualified, and you know,
well,
it's like everybody. But they're who you know what, Ann? I mean, I hate to be
the good lawyers I'm talking about.
I hate to be.
I'm talking about lawyers with far more impressive credentials than Rod Rosenstein, and they have not been hired. Why? Because it's the RNC and Jared Kushner and Paul Ryan doing the hiring. And this guy, he showed up for work every day on time at the RNC. Let's give him a job. There has been way too much shuffling in the administration of a guy who said he was going to clear out the swamp. So clear the swamp out, because this is really not helping you.
And weren't you an employee at one point of MSNBC?
I was with them their first day on air.
That's what I thought.
Continued there for about a year, though I did get fired about once a month, but I was the only one getting boxes of fan mail. So it was the first time most people had seen an actual conservative on TV, as opposed to, and conservative spokesman David Gergen. So I'm not saying I was great. I was getting fan mail, because once people got over their shock and picked themselves up off the floor, so the president at the time kept rehiring me. All the the direct line producers kept firing me.
So I'm going to ask you then. That was the preface to my question. I guess you're shocked to hear about Chris Matthews being the latest person ID'd as a perv.
Well, I will not. All of these are making me laugh hysterically, because they are all left-wing men. But having said that, once I recovered from laughing hysterically, I don't believe it. I mean, he has a sort of, you can see with the kind of personality he has. He will say things inadvertently that are politically incorrect. I do not believe he laid a finger on a female, and it's from 1999, but I don't believe it. I'm sure he could say things that were far from PC, but I don't believe that one. I don't believe the Tavis Smiley one. I don't believe the David Corn or Hamilton Fish. So there you go. There you go, liberals. There's
really?
3 liberals. You
don't believe David Corn?
Well, only because all of the allegations, it's not that I think, he's a fabulous guy who I can't imagine. No, it's not that. It's having read the stories. It's all just like, he'd walk past a girl and give her a quick back rub in the office. It's not like he was whipping it out like Weinstein and Halperin and Louis C.K.
Okay, well, that was one of the ones I was going to ask you. I was going to go down the MSNBC list, so Halperin you believe. How about Harold Ford Jr.?
I haven't read the allegations yet.
Well, my favorite one, though, Ann, is, getting back to the two worlds that we live in, the fact that Joy Reid gets to be homophobic when Charlie Crist is the governor of Florida and a Republican, but then he switches parties and becomes a Democrat, and she has to issue a groveling apology to him. How MSNBC is that, Ann?
Right, that's very good.
All right, Ann. Thanks for being with us. I appreciate it.
Good to talk to you, Howie.
And again, Merry Christmas. I'm Howie Carr.